Hey, what's up, Loyalty League? So it's your commish here, Hacker. I'm just gonna try to share this video to those that may be struggling a little bit with how to do the salary cap. I know a lot of you guys love to play the game. A lot of you guys are really good users. We've got a very competitive league, but a lot of you guys seem to have questions about I'm over my cap. I've got penalties. What do I do? How do I manage this? So part of being in a good franchise is learning how to be a good manager of your money and a good manager of your team. So I want to kind of run through some things for you guys to look at that you may or may not know about. If you're an expert, then don't worry about this video. But if this might help some of you, I thought I'd do it to try to help the league out a little bit. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to go over to the team setting. And a lot of times people go into roster and then they'll look at their team and then they'll look at these savings and they'll look at these penalties. Um, the penalty is obviously the cap penalty if you were to cut that player. And players with big name quarterbacks like I've got Mahomes with the 99.2 million. So cutting that player or trading that player is going to have a huge penalty. But a lot of times people don't understand how it works in terms of having available money for the time period we're in right now versus when the time period for signing players. So, we've got to get our rosters up to 50. So a lot of you will go in and you'll look at the free agents. So for example, I'll go and look at an available free agent. Just go in here and I'll look at the first one, James White. He wants 3.14 million for a 1-year contract. So if I pull that up, you'll see I don't have enough cap room to sign James White. So what if I really wanted James White? What could I do? Well, I could go to my roster and release enough money off my current roster to sign him. But if I'm not above my 50 players, then obviously that doesn't help me get to 50. So I've got to look for cheaper players to sign on 1-year contracts right now that could get me there. So you could come here and you could sort by the lower end salaries, and you can see some of these lower end salaries. You could sort it by by halfback, and you could sort it by the lower end salaries and try to pick up one of these super cheap guys so you could help build out your roster and get to 50. So that's a good easy way to get to 50, but that doesn't really help you when it comes to like fixing your salary cap issues going forward. So the best tab to look at really is not the roster file, but to look when you go to my team, then go to salaries. This is the one I use most of the time when I'm trying to figure out what's going to be my strategy as I enter into the re-sign period during the year, and then what am I going to do during the off season. So there's this square button will sort these columns. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to sort the column that says years remaining. So that shows you these are all the guys that I've got to re-sign once the re-signing period opens up in a couple of weeks. These are the guys that have to be re-signed. So you can see DeShone Kizer I picked off of free agency, but one of my big ones is Tyrann Mathieu. So some of you may have seen I've been floating him in the trade block because I don't know if I'm going to have the funds to re-sign him, because right now you can see that cap space number, I'm at 3.13. However, that cap space number is what I've got available right now to me. That's not what I have available going into 2022, which is our next season. So if you look here at these 1-year remaining contracts and you were to get out a calculator or get out an Excel spreadsheet, which I did on the side, and you were to add up all this available money that's going to be from on the 1-year remaining contracts, if you add all those up, I'm going to have 50.9 million in freed up money that should be available to me once the re-sign period comes up. So for me, a good strategy is to wait until the re-sign period comes and then take a look and see, okay, well, how much is Tyrann Mathieu wanting and can I afford it? But in addition to that, what you want to do is not just look at this year, but look at 2 years remaining. Who do I have to sign in the year after this? Because that tells you how much money you need to bank and have available to you roughly after the free agency period in the off season. The off season free agency period is a good time frame to pick up cheap players, and I'm going to show you a good example of that in a second. But you can see here is when I look at the 2-year remaining for me, as I scroll through here, I'm looking for some big names. You can see I look pretty good until I get here. Mecole Hardman, 99 speed receiver. Tyreek Hill, 99 speed receiver. Juan Thornhill. L'Jarius Sneed. Willie Gay. All of these are guys that I'm going to want to keep on my team. Well, I'm sorry, I'm down here into the 3 years remaining. My bad. So next year it's just these three: Hardman, Thornhill, and Hill. So I'm going to want to have enough money because right now especially Thornhill and Hardman, are on pretty cheap contracts, so they're going to want big money. So after this next season, in the off season, I want to make sure that I don't spend all my money in free agency. So when I come around to this season, I've got money available to sign these guys. So even though it says cap space of 3.13 million right now, I'm going to have a lot more than that available once we get to the re-sign period. So don't freak out and try to start dump all your players right now if you haven't done this little exercise to count up how much money you're going to have free going into that next time period. I hope this video helps you guys somewhat. This is a short and quick one. I'll probably post another one when we get ready to do the re-sign period to show you that difference and to show you that that money's available. Oh, one other thing I'll go ahead and talk about this real quick is the cap penalty. So if you look, I don't have any cap penalty because last year I didn't take any players and release them or trade them that would have a cap penalty. But if you look here at, for example, I'm going to sort it by penalty, so that way it's got the biggest penalty. Let's say I wanted to move, and obviously I've got a lot of guys with big penalties, so these top guys are all going to be guys that are on our no trade clause list. And that's why I created the no trade clause list, because when you trade guys with these big penalties, it creates a salary cap issue for the next 2 years. Because the way Madden logic works, and I don't know exactly how it works, say for example, if I traded away Hitchens right now and I have 8.84 million, then I'm going to owe roughly half of that this year and another half of that next year, and the person I trade him to doesn't pay for any of that cap penalty. I pay for all of that bonus money that's listed here. As you can see, the bonus is even stretched out over 3 years. Well, I'd have to pay that penalty over the next couple of years. So I don't want to do that because I don't want to lose those funds that I could use to sign players that I need. So be very, very careful when you're trading away cap penalty, because you will be liable for that for not just the next year but the next 2 years. And I always plan on it being like 50-50, so maybe 4 million this year, 4 million next. It doesn't always work out that way. I can't explain it in Madden. I've researched it. No one can explain it. It's just one of those dumb things in the game. But watch your cap penalties too and how you manage those, because what you don't want to do is trade away, like for example, Kelsey here. If I traded away that tight end and he has 5 years left on his contract, then I'm going to be paying for that cap penalty. But the one thing you've got to notice too is that each year these guys on long-term contracts, their salaries continue to rise. So you can see Mahomes this year is 24.8 million. In 2 years it's 42 million. So I'm going to continue to get in a tougher and tougher cap situation as Mahomes' contract matures up to that top level of 42 million. So a lot of these teams with big name quarterbacks, you don't have the funds to keep adding superstars all over the place when you have a superstar like that making that big that big money. And unfortunately, with this big cap penalty, there's nothing in the world you could do if you were going to try to free that money up and get out from underneath that quarterback, unless you just wanted to completely screw your cap for 2 years and then be free of it. But that's kind of how that works on the cap penalty, and that's why a lot of these teams that are having issues are teams that have these big name quarterbacks with this escalating salary each year, because each year as that salary goes up, it doesn't always allow enough money for you to be able to re-sign the players that you think you can go out and get. One last tip that I'll add in here, and I want to show you guys a good example of this, is in off-season free agency. You'll notice there are some smart guys in our league that will go after some older guys, like 28, 29, 30-year-old guys that that might not be someone that you would think, oh, why is that guy's trash? Why am I going to go after him? Well, a lot of it is managing your salary cap. And so one of those guys for me this offseason, I'll go to him real quick, was Derek Wolfe. Derek Wolfe is 31. I put him on a 4-year contract. He probably won't finish that contract out, but I offered him over those 4 years $2.4 million with a very small signing bonus. So if I wanted to cut him or move him, it wouldn't cost me much on the penalty. But look how little that 78 overall player is hitting my salary cap over the next 4 years. Where you've got a rookie that I signed, that I drafted in the first round, you can see how much he's costing me each year over year, and roughly they're the same overall. So of course this overall on this rookie is going to go up, and that salary is going to offset it. But you can see here too on my right guard, he's asking for 6.5 and 6.9 million, where same overall, same age is only costing me $500,000 each year. So signing these lower valued players, even though they may be older in the off season, is a really smart move that I don't think enough of you guys are looking at, that help give you more roster players that are depth. So if somebody gets hurt or goes down, they could pop in there, or maybe situationally you could sub them in. But take a look at this, because in the upcoming off-season period, you want to look for some of these guys that you can sign on low point contracts and lowball them and get money, because there's no way you'd be able to re-sign Derek Wolfe in season if he was on your team for that amount of money. So that's where you can save some salary cap. I hope that's a good tip for you guys. I know this is about a 10-11 minute video, so I know it's a little longer than I wanted, but I hope it helps you. Good luck to you this season, and as always, if you have any questions or anything, hit me up. I'm going to post this on our new channel on salary cap management, that I'm trying to help everybody out and how they manage their teams. Thanks, guys.